So what's going on, Todd?
Jesse, thanks for having me on, but I shouldn't be here.
We're going to talk about these mofos over there. I'm really feeling a regular segment called These Mofos Over There. So, the mofo I want to talk about today is the Attorney General in Indiana who is looking to bring charges against the doctor who performed the abortion services for the 10-year-old Ohio girl who was raped.
Then we have this abortion activist acting as a doctor with a history of failing to report. So we're gathering the information, we're gathering the evidence as we speak, and we're going to fight this to the end, including looking at her licensure if she failed to report. And in Indiana, it's a crime to not report, to intentionally not report.
Now I want you to wrap your mind around that. Let's take a little time and wrap our minds around how rotten this Attorney General is. He need to get some business, find some real work to do to support and represent the people of Indiana, other than trying to go against a doctor that actually saved the life of this 10-year-old girl, because in Ohio, we have a heartbeat bill that was triggered because the Supreme Court of the United States overturned Roe. Our trigger law was triggered, and therefore most heartbeats can be detected in 6 weeks. You know, that's the kind of rule. And this man wants to go after the doctor. Yeah, those mofos over there. Now, this doctor is a hero. She's a shero. And her name is Dr. Caitlin Bernard, and she should be celebrated for saving this baby's life. That is exactly what she did. And the mofo, the Attorney General, Todd Rokita, is the villain. Very much so. He's calling this a border issue. Is he out of his mind? Yeah, absolutely he's out of his mind.
First of all, this is an illegal immigration issue because likely of Biden's lawlessness at the border.
And this is another example of abuse of power. It should not be happening, and we all should be outraged. And even though this case is extreme, we hope it's extreme. You know, having a 10-year-old baby, she's a baby herself, raped and then impregnated, and then you got to figure out how to get her an abortion. Criminal, inhumane, any way we look at it. And instead of this man doing something else, he is exacerbating the pain of this family by trying to go after this doctor. So we need to shout out. We need to give a big shout out to Dr. Caitlin Bernard. But this dude right here, he's a problem. We're going to put his picture up. I want you to remember who he is. He is a problem. And it is a shame. I hope somebody runs against him. And there are several conundrums attached to what is happening here with this particular story. One, the 10-year-old, I mean, that's a given, should not be happening. The second is the larger problem of autonomy of one's body. And I'm especially talking about grown women should have autonomy. And this folds into why the dismantling of Roe v. Wade is problematic in this country and why we need the United States Congress to act. Grown women should be able to control their own bodies, and any decision that they make with their body should be between them, their doctor, and anybody else they want involved, especially when it comes to reproductive health. So even though this is an extreme case with this 10-year-old, overall, it is reminding us that we got a problem on our hands. And we need to deal with this problem. And to have elected officials like this particular AG it's a chilling effect. Because I'm sure there are other things that he could be doing with the power of the people of Indiana. But no, he chooses to go after this doctor. And there are going to be other attorney generals all across this country, these Republican, right-wing, extremists, elected officials who hold these positions of power, who are going to be doing the same thing. So yeah, we should be concerned about this and totally outraged and pained that a doctor who saved the life of a 10-year-old little girl is now being targeted by this mofo, that mofo over there in Indiana. And some of the things that we can do, because I know, people are feeling very helpless and hopeless in this moment, not just in regards to Roe v. Wade, but a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things that we can do in this regard, again, to be very supportive of Dr. Caitlin Bernard through social media, through other mechanisms that we could use to show her that we support her. Also putting some pressure on the folks who occupy the federal level of government. If nothing else could bring them together, you would think that the rape of a 10-year-old little girl and impregnation of a 10-year-old little girl who had to go across state lines to Indiana to get an abortion, that would motivate them mofos to get it together and do something. But you know what? As of this moment, it has not. So we, the people, have to continue to push, making sure that we have people in the ready to run against attorney generals like the one in Indiana, pushing the feds to codify Roe. They need to carve out an exception in the filibuster, within the filibuster, and go right on ahead and codify Roe. It can be done. There was a carve out to increase the debt ceiling in 2021, of which both Senators Manchin and Sinema voted for. Okay, so we can get them involved, and then you got the vice president that can break the tie. There we go. But then also on the Republican side, we got Murkowski and Collins, who have been on the record of saying that they feel deceived. One of them mentioned that something should be done about this. So let's get to doing and stop playing games. Codify Roe, run somebody against that mofo in Indiana. Make sure that we are running other justice-seeking people for attorney general, and also at all levels of government. Prosecutors in these different states can be of help too. I'm glad to say that the prosecutor in Cuyahoga County has gone on record to say that he will not go after any woman who is seeking to get abortion services. That's a beautiful thing. We can do more of that on the local, regional, and state levels of government. But them mofos that are making the suffering of this little girl worse and going after this doctor, it should not go unchallenged. So let's get in there on a regular basis and do something with what we have, where we are. We are the change, even if we mad as hell. Let's get in there.